Is anybody out there?
Mark Radcliffe! 1FM! Oh, yes.
Right, Mark Kermode is with us this evening, and we're doing Star Wars.
It's really hard to know where to begin with Star Wars, because you kind of feel that everybody must have seen it. And yeah, obviously there are people in the world who haven't seen it, the same way as there are people in the world who haven't seen Gone with the Wind, or haven't seen The Sound of Music, or haven't seen Dr. Zhivago.
Mutiny on the buses.
Absolutely. So on the off chance that you haven't seen it, in 1977, cinema completely changed. In fact, the 1980s began in 1977. What had happened was that cinema had got into this kind of very strange doldrum when science fiction had become very downbeat. We'd had films like Soylent Green and Silent Running, films about, you know, everything going horribly wrong in space and very down. After 2001, everyone was making science fiction films which were sort of scientifically accurate.
Yeah.
And in 1977, along comes George Lucas, who'd made American Graffiti, and decides that what he wants to do is to make a throwback, swashbuckling Roy Rogers. Well, actually, Roy Rogers is not such a bad thing, because it is. It's a, you know,
Ted Rogers.
Ted Rogers.
No, it is bad.
It is, thank you. Sci-fi swashbuckler. And he comes up with Star Wars. Film doesn't cost very much money. It's about $10 million. It ends up making $193 million. It spawns 2 sequels, and we have another load to come. George Lucas announces that, in fact, we're starting with part 4 of a 7-part series. It's going to go on, you know, ad infinitum. Yeah. What Star Wars really did for the 70s was to restart great big screen entertainment. If you went to the cinema in the late 1970s, cinemas were becoming like tiny little shoeboxes with dismal little screens and grotty sound systems. And you had 7 cinemas, all in, you know, like an old Odeon that just used to have one screen. You could always hear you could hear, like, you know, Agnes Wrath of God going on next door. Yeah. And
there's like L-shaped auditoriums. You had to watch it on a mirror and stuff.
Yeah, or sometimes when there was a thing when there was literally was another cinema below the balcony, so there was actually a screen underneath your feet. And Lucas and Spielberg said, no, end of this, forget it. What we want to do is do great, big, romping entertainment. So the trivial things everyone knows about Star Wars: it cost no money, but it made a fortune. Alec Guinness was the only member of the cast who thought it was going to make a fortune, so he took a percentage. So he actually got phenomenally rich out of the first one. By the time they got to Empire Strikes Back, everyone had figured out they were onto a hit, and they were all asking for percentages. Darth Vader, played by Dave Prowse, who apparently did the whole movie believing that his Somerset tones were going to be used as the voice of Darth Vader. Right. Then at the very last moment, George Lucas said, I'm sorry, no, we're going to have to redub your entire part, and we're actually going to use James Earl Jones. And according to legend, Lucas said that the reason he did it was that he realized that they didn't have enough black characters in the film, so they wanted to use James Earl Jones. Actually, as it stands, there are no Somerset characters in it.
Well, it would have been great that Darth Vader, played by Reg Presley of the Trogs.
Absolutely.
They did go for Kenny Lynch at first, but they couldn't get him, so they got James Earl Jones.
That is a great omission. Also, the fact that we had in this 2 cuddly robots, C-3PO and R2-D2, who had completely incomprehensible conversations because one half of the conversation was basically a talking fax machine. And what you had was straightforward, dumb good guys, straightforward, big, nasty bad guys fighting it out in space. But the biggest departure of Star Wars from the science fiction of the time was that everyone knew that you couldn't have sound in space at that point. And George Lucas just went, oh, sod it. Let's just have loads of big gunfights with loads of big explosions and loads of big noises and lots of white costumes and lots of guys wearing black capes, and it was a hit. I'm going to play this clip because this, for me, is like one of the finest dialogue things. This is a conversation between C-3PO and R2-D2, and, okay, so it's a guy talking to a fax machine. It's essentially funny.
Hey, you're not permitted in there. It's restricted. You'll be deactivated for sure. Don't you call me a mindless philosopher, you overweight glob of grease. Now come out before somebody sees you. Secret mission? What plans? What are you talking about? I'm not getting in there. I'm going to regret this.
There you go, a clip from Star Wars, which Mark Kermode is talking about tonight in Cult Film Corner. Obviously, interesting to do as a cult film. One of the biggest, the most famous, the most successful blockbusters that took the cinema world by storm of all time.
I've never heard of it.
Kermode is here, and we're doing Star Wars tonight.
I think the interesting thing is that after Star Wars had become the massive hit, which it did, and brought in the 1980s, let's face it, you know, the 1980s began in 1977, that then The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi became the quintessential 80s movies and became the movies that had the cult following. Now, Star Wars is 18 years old now, and they've just put it out on video again, and they're going to withdraw it because apparently Lucas has said he's going to go back and fix one of the scenes that he couldn't do before because the special effects technology wasn't available.
Sure.
So there is a scene that he shot, and he is now able to go back and superimpose the actors on the special effects, and it will be released in a special edition.
Do you think that's a good idea? I mean, because isn't not the charm of the piece that, you know, the effects weren't quite... It was like you could go back and fix King Kong and do it a lot better, but it's not really the point, is it?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Funnily enough, you can no longer get the original Close Encounters on video. You can only get Close Encounters Special Edition, which means Close Encounters Special Edition is common as muck, and Close Encounters original version is actually a collector's item.
Yeah.
On one level, I'm against going back and fixing films. On the other hand, I'm the person who's been campaigning for 20 years that the missing 18 minutes of The Exorcist should be reinstated. So, look, whatever. I mean, I think both versions...
But missing bits is different to tarting bits up, though, isn't it? You know, putting missing
Yeah, but that's
bits
like James Cameron not being able to finish The Abyss the first time round and then going back 2 years later and going back and fixing it and doing the tidal wave, and it is definitely better the second time round. I don't know, you know, it's horses for courses. They had this big convention because the movie is now 18 years old, and loads of people turned up, exactly like the Rocky Horror Show. People turned up dressed as C-3PO and R2-D2 and dressed up as Mark Hamill for God knows what, because in fact, of the performances in the film, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher are the people who come out of it, I think, you know, least well, whereas Harrison Ford, obviously, suddenly, you know, he was a hero in the making. But people come dressed up as the characters, they know the lines, they know the songs, they know the score. Like, you know, to me, all John Williams scores sound exactly the same.
I saw someone dressed up as Jedi, but it turned out to be Paul Daniels.
So, anyway, Empire and Return of the Jedi then become the bigger talking point. If you've seen Clerks, which is out now on video, which is absolutely fantastic, one of the best scenes in Clerks is they have a great big debate about which movie is better, whether Empire is better or Jedi is better. And Randall says quite rightly, oh, Jedi's just a bunch of Muppets. And Empire is the more interesting movie. They then get into this very long conversation about who built the second Death Star. Okay, when the first Death Star was blown up, it was okay because it was full of stormtroopers and they're all evil and that's terrible. But when the second Death Star is blown up, it hasn't finished being built, okay? Which means that there was a bunch of construction workers still on the Death Star at the time that they blew it up, so all these innocent lives go. Now, the point about the Star Wars trilogy is you can have those kind of conversations about it. You really can find yourself in an idle moment wondering what it would have been like had Dave Prowse actually done the voice of Darth Vader. Now, we know that there's now an earlier trilogy which they're going to put together, which is the first 3 parts, and we are apparently still waiting the last, which is part 7, and you can now play this kind of a Star Wars universe game in which you figure out how all the characters marry up. Can they, you know, all be in the same place at the same time?
Right.
But of course, looking back on the original response to Star Wars at the time, critics didn't realise how good it was. I was just 2 little things here. One from John Simon, who's a very respected film critic, says, "Oh, dull new world. It's all as exciting as last year's weather reports. It's all trite characters and paltry verbiage, handled adequately by Harrison Ford as a blockade running starship pilot, uninspiredly by Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, and wretchedly by Carrie Fisher, who is not even appealing as Princess Leia." And then there's a lovely quote from Quentin Crisp's Christopher Street, which he says, "Alec Guinness makes a valiant attempt to bestow upon the movie a saintly El Greco halo, but the story remains paralysingly monotonous. I longed for its incessant violent motion to cease."
Now, I don't want to get you too excited here, but do you remember we did Jason and the Argonauts, and I went to the archives and I actually got the original undubbed clip?
You didn't get an original Dave Prowse clip?
I did.
Did you?
I did, and you'll be hearing it later.
Really?
And then he'll look, oh, aye.
Oh, excellent.
Have you cleared the rights to it?
Quality.
Oh, aye. It's all
Well, that's the first.
Right, more research from the archives by the boy lad, and we'll have a bit more on Star Wars, also competition time, and also what's out this week. And that one, Harley Davidson, that's out now on mute. And I'll play that for Claire Jacks in Penwitham near Preston, who says, "Oi, Lardygate and Mark the Tosser, you are bastards. I've written to you loads and entered competitions, but my name has never been said on your fabulous show. Ho ho, fancy brew, get to bed. I am out, nice one, quality item, missing you already." So it's a fair letter, isn't it?
What's her name?
It's, Claire Jacks.
Claire Jacks. There you go. There's had a few there.
The name has been on. Mark Kermode is with us now for Cult from Corner, and it comes now to competition time.
Do you want to do last week or this week?
I don't care.
Okay, we'll do this week in that case. This week's question, which is we've got...
I don't like to, imply that I don't care about this item. I just don't care which way round we do it, because both sides of the equation are equally fascinating.
Okay. So,
I think I got my way out of that one.
Yeah,
no. This week's question to win a box set of Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
Which Miles says is crap.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi is crap.
Is it?
Yeah, but what did he say the other two were crap as well?
I don't know. What did he say? Did he say the other two were crap as well? No, he didn't. No, he said that was crap.
Yeah, but Return of the Jedi is just a bunch of Muppets. Can I tell you this fantastic anecdote, incidentally, from Douglas from BMX Bandits who rang up?
Right, yes.
Quickly, about Star Wars.
Yes.
Which was he rang up to say that he was hanging out with Kim Fowley. And Kim Fowley
That's all he ever rings up to tell anybody that.
I know. And Kim Fowley made a record with George Lucas, and George Lucas apparently revealed to Kim Fowley that the reason Star Wars works is that he made it on the diamond principle, being that if you look into it, you can see, as you know, a myriad things from one object.
Well, why didn't the England football team work when they played it on the diamond principle then? That's what I think.
Douglas will be on the phone
it was the
now.
Christmas tree.
Yeah,
Kim Fowley was manager. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Star Wars...
I just coughed my guts up here.
The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which you don't have to watch because it's just a bunch of Muppets. A very simple question. Darth Vader was played by Dave Prowse, who also played a very, very serious part in safety education films on television. What character did Dave Prowse play in safety and education films on television?
Don't believe it.
I know this one too.
Okay, send in your answers on a postcard to
This one is also so easy that tosser knows it. Mark Kermode, Radio 1, Oxford Road, Manchester M61 SJ.
That address again?
This one is also so easy that tosser knows it again. Cinch. Mark Kermode, Radio 1, Oxford Road, Manchester M61 SJ for a fantastic big throbbing box set, eh?
Boy.
Can I very quickly answer 2 questions on a letter?
Oh, go on then.
Quick.
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Barry from Manchester. 2 questions. 1, is Zoo a good film? As in, you know, a Z and 2 noughts, a good film?
Is that Barry and Blakely?
No, Barry in Manchester.
Yeah, Blakely in Manchester, is it?
Oh, beg your pardon, Blakely, yes, I'm sorry, I'm completely... Yes, it is. Barry, yeah, from Blakely, Manchester. Is Z and 2 noughts a good film? Well, you know, depends how you feel. And second, did I see your credit on the end of Dust Devil? And I'm sorry, I'm going to blow my trumpet about this.
On the end of what?
Dust Devil.
Dust Devil.
The Richard Stanley film.
Doing that again.
Going to bang the table.
Right.
Yes, at the end of Dust Devil, it says... post-production propaganda, Mark Kermode. And because if I go to my grave having done nothing else, I was partially instrumental in getting the long version of Dust Devil released.
Fairly doos. Right. That's the
Fairly
second time
doos.
I have said that.
Thank you.
Right. Now then, lad, we were
Yes.
going to... No, stop it.
No, he's just copying me, but it's nice.
He copies everybody.
We're friends.
Copies anybody. Right.
Yeah, what?
Star Wars, of course, we did
Star
tonight.
Wars.
Now, you said that you had unveiled an early archive clip.
Yeah, I mean, in the fashion of the Jason and the Argonauts, where we've got the original Scouse undubbed version, I've managed to go to the archive and get the original sort of Somerset version, Dave Prowse and all that kind of stuff. And I think we should hear the original first and then just sort of compare it to the original, and you'll see why they did it.
It's like director's cut, then.
Yeah, it is a bit.
Should we? We should. Right, go on then. Right, let's have the original.
Darth Vader, only you could be so bold. The Imperial Senate will not sit still for this. When they hear you've attacked a diplomatic...
Don't act so surprised, Your Highness. You weren't on any mercy mission this time. Several transmissions were beamed to the ship by rebel spies. I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
You are part of the rebel alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
Okay, yeah. Right, now...
Seamless broadcasting.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right.
I mean, it was a bit of a coup for this programme once again, but I managed to get the original Dave Prowse version, and I think we're going to hear that now.
Okay.
Darth Vader, only you could be so bold. The Imperial Senate will not sit still for this. When they hear you've attacked a diplomatic...
Don't
Don't act surprised, Your Highness. You weren't on any mercy mission this time, so those transmissions were beamed to a ship by rebel spies. I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
You are a part of the rebel alliance of a traitor. Take her away.
There you see.
That's fantastic,
Just-
wasn't it? Just
A fantastic moment, I think.
how it could have
Barry
been.
Norman,
Right, we'll have Mark Kermode tell us what films are out this week after we've had a track by the Weather Prophets from 1987. You know that he said the 80s started in 77?
Yes.
So did the 90s start in 87 when this record came
I don't
out?
think the 90s have started yet.
All right, fair enough.
Mark Radcliffe! He's crap!
It ended in tears, didn't it? It only could speak for about 5 minutes. So, well, do you want to give it a go?
Yeah.
what song was that then?
The competition.
You know, we
title?
sing competition.
It's more a jingle than a song,
It's a
really.
jingle.
If you
I
want- if
don't
you-
want to be pedantic. We call it a jingling radio biz.
Right, okay.
Can
then.
we do it?
No.
Okay.
Go on then.
Fine, okay.
competition
So,
time.
the last week's competition was to win. You're just being annoyed because I didn't ask you what you did yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you. Was to win copies of the Star Wars box set, which is all the movies kind of boxed up very, very nicely.
Now that is a box set, you see. Now that's a proper box set. You get like several films in it.
Competition time! Better late than never, eh?
Arguable.
And I'm just hugely impressed by this bulging sack. And the question was, Dave Prowse stars as Darth Vader, although we know he didn't do the voice. That was James Earl Jones, although Dave Prowse spent the entire movie thinking that they were going to let him do it.
His West Country accent.
Poor so-and-so. Which road safety figure did Dave Prowse first rise to prominence as? And, of course, the answer was...
Tufty the Squirrel.
No. Although many people did make the Tufty gag. No, Dave Prowse was, of course, originally Green Cross Man. This is the kind of, you know...
Bloody cross.
The sound of the bulging sack of correct answers. And everybody got it right. Lard, pick out 2 of those at random.
Sorry, I'll do it a bit louder. Hang on. Right, there you go.
No one's fooled by you doing...
Excuse me, have I got a...
I know, a bulging sack.
I just did this. I'm not making it up.
Look, we've got a bulging sack here. We've got a top prize, and we're disappearing up our own arse, aren't we? So let's just do it. Good Lord, pick out 2 winners, for goodness sake.
David Boyd from Surrey.
David Boyd?
No, David Boyd? No, David Boyd from Surrey and Lisa Ramsell from Enderby.
Right, okay. You are the winners of the fantastic box set. We've still got this week's exciting competition to do, but I'm going to play a record first.
Competition!
Mark Radcliffe, missing you already.